Baker Mayfield's story begins at Lake Travis High School in Austin, Texas. There, he led the Cavaliers to an undefeated season and a state championship, piling up 45 touchdowns against only 5 interceptions. From the start, Mayfield was proving he was different. But fate has a way of testing greatness. After telling a reporter he wanted to play at TCU, the news spread and other schools backed away. When TCU chose a different quarterback, Baker was left with no scholarships, no clear future, and no easy path. Most players would have given up. Baker didn't. After long talks with his family, he made a bold decision to walk on at Texas Tech with nothing guaranteed, and destiny soon called. When the Red Raiders' starter went down with a back injury, Baker seized his chance. As a redshirt freshman, he wasn't supposed to be on the field, yet in just 7 weeks on campus, he earned the starting job. On August 30th, he became the first true freshman walk-on quarterback in history to start a season opener for a BCS program. That night, Mayfield exploded for 413 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, and another on the ground as Texas Tech beat SMU 41-23. He wasn't just a walk-on anymore. Baker Mayfield was a force that couldn't be ignored.
The biggest question for Cliff Kingsbury as head coach at Texas Tech: who is going to be his quarterback in Game 1? The answer is the true freshman walk-on, Baker Mayfield.
Can you imagine the butterflies around this young man's stomach right now? Just 3 months ago, he was walking across the stage getting his high school diploma. Here he is on the national stage getting ready to lead an offense where he's going to be relied upon, but he's well prepared. He played big-time high school football in the state of Texas, so it'll be interesting to watch, see how long it takes him to adjust to the speed of this game.
Mayfield, downfield complete. Touchdown! And the walk-on true freshman quarterback, Baker Mayfield, puts the Red Raiders in the end zone. Texas Tech, so first action of the year for Jason Morrow. Baker Mayfield completes to Jakeem Grant. Mayfield to the end zone, caught, touchdown! Mayfield goes scrambling into the end zone, touchdown, Texas Tech.
But Mayfield's journey at Texas Tech didn't end the way it began. Despite his historic freshman season, he found himself caught in a storm of politics and frustration. The Red Raiders wouldn't offer him a scholarship, and tensions with the coaching staff began to rise. For a player who had earned everything on the field, Baker felt overlooked, disrespected, and left with no choice but to leave. So he bet on himself again. This time, he walked on at the University of Oklahoma, a football powerhouse where most players arrive as stars. To the outside world, it looked like a long shot. But to Baker, it was just another chance to prove everyone wrong. At Oklahoma, Mayfield's fire caught the nation's attention. His energy, his grit, and his fearlessness turned the Sooners into a juggernaut. He wasn't just a quarterback, he was the heartbeat of the team. Fans rallied behind him, opponents despised him, and his confidence grew with every snap. Over 3 seasons, he shattered records, lit up scoreboards, and created moments that would live forever in college football. From planting the Oklahoma flag on the Ohio State field to carrying the Sooners to the college football playoff, Baker's story became legend. And in 2017, the walk-on with no scholarship, no promises, and no guarantees stood on college football's biggest stage. Baker Mayfield hoisted the Heisman Trophy, the highest honor in the sport. The underdog from Austin had climbed to the very top, from forgotten walk-on to the best player in America.
Proud to announce that this year's Heisman Trophy winner is Baker Mayfield of the University of Oklahoma.
Wow. This is unbelievable for me. Being up here among these greats, it's such an honor, and to be up here, I really appreciate it. It's unbelievable.
All the conversation that we heard today is that Dorsey's known it for weeks. He's just kept it to himself.
Hello?
Dorsey just waited to see if the phone does.
What's up?
So that particular ball.
I got you on speakerphone here. You want to be the first pick in the draft?
Yeah, I do.
The Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield.
For years, the Cleveland Browns had been the punchline of the NFL. A revolving door of quarterbacks, a carousel of coaches, and a staggering streak of losses. From 2015 to 2017 alone, the Browns went 4-44, including an infamous 0-16 season that cemented them as the league's laughingstock. But then came Baker Mayfield. The rookie didn't just arrive, he ignited a franchise starved for hope. In 2018, after Tyrod Taylor went down against the New York Jets, Baker came off the bench under the bright Thursday night lights. And in that moment, everything changed. He led the Browns to their first victory in 635 days. Beer coolers across Cleveland literally unlocked. Fans stormed the streets, and for the first time in years, the dog pound howled with joy. Mayfield went on to break the NFL rookie record with 27 touchdown passes, despite not even starting the entire season. Suddenly, the Browns weren't just competing, they were winning. By 2020, Baker led Cleveland to their first playoff berth since 2002, and then delivered the unthinkable, a playoff victory. The Browns went into Pittsburgh against their most hated rival, and Mayfield commanded an offense that hung 48 points on the Steelers. For a franchise that had known only heartbreak, Baker was the one who gave them life again. He wasn't just a quarterback, he was a symbol. A fiery competitor who matched the grit of a city that had been kicked down for decades. For every joke, every meme, every headline that mocked the Browns, Baker Mayfield gave Cleveland a reason to stand tall. From endless losing seasons to playoff glory, the difference was night and day. The Browns had been broken, but with Baker, they finally believed again. But in the NFL, glory never lasts forever. As quickly as Baker Mayfield rose in Cleveland, the storm clouds began to gather. By 2021, the Browns had talent. They had momentum. And yet, something was unraveling inside the locker room. The turning point came from outside the lines, from the father of wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. In the middle of the season, Beckham's dad released a video online, splicing together clips of Baker missing throws, failing to target his son, fueling the fire that Mayfield wasn't the man to lead the Browns forward. He didn't stop there. He spoke to the press, igniting drama that ripped through the locker room and the city. The front office took notice. Whispers turned into conversations.
OBJ will show again why he's special. Wide receiver 1, free OBJ. Okay, Stephen A., I will start with you.
Yeah.
What does Odell need to do now?
He needs to get the hell up out of Cleveland. He doesn't want to be there. He's made it very, very clear he wants to be there. Do not condone his father chiming in on social media the way that he did. Odell Beckham Jr., that's you, bro. Nobody's going to believe it's just your daddy. Nobody's going to believe that. They're going to believe it's you. That comes across as childish and immature, and that is not a good look for Odell Beckham Jr. But I do understand.
For the first time since 2018, Cleveland began to look elsewhere. Behind Mayfield's back, executives quietly boarded a plane bound for Houston. They met with Deshaun Watson, a quarterback clouded in controversy, facing a storm of legal allegations.
Since turned Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, now accused of sexually assaulting a Harris County woman. Two's Bryce Newberry has been going through the brand new document. He is live at the courthouse tonight with what is different about these new allegations.
Daniela, Deshaun Watson is tonight accused of sexual assault and battery in this new lawsuit, which is really the biggest. Previous allegations from nearly 24 women mainly involve sexual misconduct during massages.
When the Cleveland Browns chose Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield's time in Ohio was over. Just 4 years after being drafted #1 overall, the quarterback who had resurrected a dying franchise was traded away for a 5th-round pick.
Baker Mayfield, the Browns quarterback, told ESPN that he has requested a trade. The relationship between the two sides is too far gone. The Browns, in turn, they have no intention of moving on from Baker Mayfield at this point in time. So there's a little bit of a standoff here.
We'll give you a second to maybe load this up. You have some information from Baker directly himself, some of the things that he said.
He feels like the relationship is too far gone. I think he would welcome a trade, as he said, to Indianapolis, to Seattle, to any team that needs a quarterback. But he feels like it's time to go on and play elsewhere. He feels like the relationship has run its course. He doesn't feel like he's been treated fairly. And, of course, this goes back to what is going to be the story of the day eventually, because today, earlier in the day, the Cleveland Browns were informed by the Deshaun Watson camp. He is down to 3 teams, 3 NFC South teams: Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans. Cleveland met with Deshaun Watson this week. And so Baker Mayfield feels like it's time for him to leave Cleveland. Time has come, and the Browns right now saying that they're not going to accede to that trade request just yet.
Let's now welcome in NFL analyst and color commentator Charles Davis. Charles, I guess I'll just start by getting your reaction. Baker Mayfield, now a member of the Carolina Panthers.
Hey, Jeremy, first and foremost, look, this was a move we knew was coming. It's almost the Occam's razor thing. When everything else is going on, eliminate all the rest of it, and you come back to the simplest thing. Him going to Carolina, we've talked about for how many months now. It's finally happened. We knew Cleveland would kick in a good amount of money. I always thought Seattle was going to be a player here. I'm still somewhat puzzled that they're not, but they have their reasons for not going there. We may find out about them later. I'm not surprised at all.
His destination? The Carolina Panthers. But what was supposed to be a fresh start quickly turned into a nightmare. Baker opened as the starter, but injuries, inconsistency, and organizational chaos buried him on the depth chart. By mid-season, he wasn't QB1. He wasn't even QB2. Mayfield was demoted to fourth string, running punt block drills in practice, a humiliating fall for a former top pick. The memes poured in. Social media mocked his every move. Headlines declared him finished. And by December, the Panthers cut him loose entirely. It seemed like the end of the story. But Baker Mayfield wasn't done. Not yet. 2 days after being waived, he was claimed by the Los Angeles Rams, a team decimated by injuries, desperate for a quarterback. No one expected much. After all, he had just arrived. He didn't even know the full playbook. And yet, under the Thursday night lights against the Raiders, Baker Mayfield delivered one of the most unforgettable performances in NFL history. With only 48 hours of preparation, he led a 98-yard game-winning drive, capped by a touchdown pass with just seconds remaining. The Rams' sideline erupted, the crowd roared, and the football world was reminded Baker Mayfield still had fire in him. From fourth-string cast-off to prime-time hero in less than a week, it was redemption, pure and raw, a reminder that the story of Baker Mayfield was far from over. Baker Mayfield's Hollywood ending with the Rams didn't last forever. His miracle debut against the Raiders was unforgettable, but Los Angeles was never meant to be home. The Rams already had their franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Baker was only a stopgap, a spark to keep the season alive. When the year ended, so did his contract. Mayfield hit free agency once again, this time with his career hanging in the balance. He was no longer the number one pick with limitless potential. He was a journeyman quarterback, fighting to prove he still belonged. And then came Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers had just lost Tom Brady to retirement, leaving a void the size of a dynasty at quarterback.
It's Baker Mayfield, his one big moment with the LA Rams, and he became a free agent. He did the one-year deal. Look, the multi-year deal wasn't there, and Chris, it's shockingly low with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a $4 million base salary, so he does have the incentive to go out there and win the job and play well, but he had a lot of incentives last year in Carolina and didn't earn a penny of them. Look, I admire the guy for playing at all for only $4 million. Who would have dreamed? And that must be the only team that was seriously interested in him. I'm kind of stunned the Raiders weren't in this, and I really am surprised there was no one else with anything better on the table than 1 year, $4 million with another 4.5 or so in incentives.
I mean, listen, I'm surprised by the number 2, but you know, I think at the end of the day, the most important thing or the most important incentive was the fact that he gets a chance to be at a place where he can start. And I don't know if there was any other place out there that he was going to be trusted in that situation. I don't. I think this is the perfect, you know, the Raiders, I think it was a little dicey. They obviously had some other people on their radar. Josh McDaniels, with the point he's at in his career, maybe he just didn't like the risk of that. Looked, and if it didn't go right, you know, how he could be vilified. Here, there's one in Tampa where, you know, it's nobody that is trustworthy or out there that we thought was going to be associated with them. There's not a lot of options.
I want to go somewhere that we can win right away, and this is that place.
Obviously, you've had a lot of change in your career. Has it changed you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes anytime you have life experiences, you can learn and grow from those. You know, just talking to some of the coaches around here and some of the staff, it's like I said, it's not how I drew my career, by any means. If I was to tell you how it would go based on the plan, I wouldn't have said that I put on 3 different uniforms in the year 2022. That's how it happens. And so you got to learn from it, roll with the punches, trust in God's plan. But yeah, I've grown a lot, appreciate all the things that have happened throughout my journey, and it's helped me get here today. And so I want to play this as long as I can. So I've learned a lot of lessons along the way.
This time last year, you were in Cleveland, and this is your 4th team since then.
Yeah.
What's that journey been like for you?
It's been different, but the thing I've realized the most in the last year is how can I help with what I'm best at, and that's being a good leader, being infectious, energetic, and even when I'm not playing, helping guys out, just enjoying the process. This is a dream I'm living. Why not enjoy it? But right now I want to compete, and I want to win.
They weren't looking for a superstar. They weren't chasing a rookie gamble. They needed a leader. Someone with grit, toughness, and the scars to match a team that thrived on underdog energy. Behind the scenes, Baker's camp made it clear. He wanted to compete. He wasn't looking to be handed anything. Jason Light, Tampa Bay's GM, saw something in Mayfield that reminded him of the very culture the Bucs had built. Hungry, relentless, willing to fight for every yard. In March 2023, the deal was done. A 1-year, $4 million contract. Modest money. No promises. Just an opportunity. And Baker made the most of it. He won the starting job in camp over Kyle Trask, then did the unthinkable. He didn't just manage the offense, he thrived in it. The swagger returned. The accuracy, the grit, the fire that once lifted Cleveland began to burn in Tampa. Teammates rallied around him, fans embraced him. Baker Mayfield wasn't Tom Brady, but he didn't need to be. He was himself. By season's end, the Buccaneers were NFC South champions, and Baker was more than just a placeholder. He was reborn. The playoffs opened in Tampa with the Buccaneers staring down the defending NFC champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Under the lights, Baker Mayfield played like a man possessed. He carved Philly's defense apart, dropping dimes to Chris Godwin and Trey Palmer, then uncorking a 44-yard strike to David Moore that sent the stadium into chaos. The Bucs' defense swarmed Jalen Hurts, suffocating every drive. When the dust cleared, it wasn't even close. Tampa 32, Philly 9. Baker had arrived, leading the Buccaneers to one of the most dominant wins of the postseason. But the story didn't end there. The next week, Tampa traveled into hostile territory to face the Detroit Lions, where every snap felt like a heavyweight fight. Mayfield stood toe-to-toe with one of the league's best, trading blows in a game that came down to the wire. He threw for over 300 yards, scrambled for first downs, and kept the Bucs within striking distance deep into the fourth quarter. The final minutes were electric, every fan on their feet, every play hanging in the balance. In the end, Tampa fell just short to Detroit, but they left the field with heads high. It wasn't a blowout, it was a war, and Baker Mayfield proved he belonged on the biggest stage.
Give them an A because they did what they should do, which is retain their quarterback, the quarterback that led them to a playoff victory. Going into the season, Baker Mayfield came over from the Rams, $4 million deal. He was betting on himself to be successful. Wind up connecting with Mike Evans, another guy that they retained when there was going to be some teams that liked the way Baker played, and they were going to try to take him from Tampa. Tampa gave him $50 million in guaranteed money, a 3-year, $100 million deal with some incentives that could push it up to about $115 million. Best season of his career, his young career, last season. He deserved every single penny. And then some.
And that's the point. That's why I'm going to give Baker a B. I believe he could have hit the lottery if he had hit the open market. Saying just on deal, if I'm grading the deal, I promise you he gave them a hometown discount. Nobody else would have given him a chance last year, and he honored that. He took that to his bank, something of a Tampa Bay discount, which will benefit him, to your point, maybe down the road. But if you ask me, in a vacuum to grade Baker's deal, I'm going to give it a B because I believe he could have gotten more on the open market. And for Tampa Bay, I'm giving them an A+ here. Got a Baker Mayfield who lit it up for them. And you can talk about his rough patch, and I got it. But his numbers across the board were better than Tom Brady's numbers across the board the year before, which was Brady's swan song year. Throwing the playoff numbers, 34 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Keyshawn, that's really good. Opener was at Minnesota against Kirk Cousins. They stole it, but they won 20-17. He threw 2 touchdown passes.
A win is a win.
It's just a win. Fourth game, they go to New Orleans, which, as we all know, it's a hard place to play. A team that Tom Brady just couldn't deal with, had his number the whole time he was in Tampa, even during the Super Bowl year. He goes in there and beats them 26-9 with 3 touchdowns and only 1 interception. Baker Mayfield did that, and that was impressive. Then he goes to Atlanta, and looking back, this was another tone setter in the division, and they pull it out 29-25, and he has 2 touchdowns to no interceptions. And he goes into Green Bay, and this kind of got just swept under the carpet. But he goes into Green Bay with the first perfect passer rating in the history of Lambeau Field. Threw 4 touchdowns to no interceptions against a team that blew my team off the field in a playoff game.
After shocking the NFL in his first season with the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield returned for year 2 in Tampa with one mission: prove it wasn't a fluke. And once again, he delivered. The Bucs fought through adversity, but Baker's leadership, toughness, and playmaking carried them back to the playoffs for a second straight season. In a post-Brady era many thought would sink Tampa, Mayfield had established himself as the heartbeat of the team. But the cruel hand of football struck again. In the wild-card round, the Buccaneers were in position to win, driving, fighting, clawing for another playoff triumph. And then it happened. A costly fumble flipped the game. Momentum vanished, hope slipped away, and just like that, Tampa's season ended in heartbreak. For Baker Mayfield, it was another chapter of highs and lows, from lifting the Buccaneers into January football 2 years running to watching a season unravel in a single devastating mistake. Yet even in defeat, one truth remained clear. Baker had given Tampa Bay more than anyone expected. He had restored fight. He had restored belief. And though the fumble ended their run, Baker Mayfield had cemented himself as a Buccaneer, a quarterback who refused to quit, no matter the odds. Just when it looked like the Falcons might steal one in the closing minutes, Baker Mayfield unleashed a dagger, a 25-yard touchdown pass to rookie Emeka Egbuka with under a minute to go. Atlanta had answered earlier through Michael Penix Jr. on a 4-yard run to take the lead, and the Bucs even missed the extra point after the Egbuka score, leaving it a 3-point edge. With 2 seconds on the clock, Falcons kicker Younghoe Koo tried a 44-yard field goal to tie, but it veered wide right, sealing Tampa Bay's 23-20 opening win. Tampa Bay rode a mix of clutch throws, gutsy composure, and just enough resilience to walk out of Atlanta with a win. Week 2 versus Houston. Monday Night Magic. On Monday Night Football, the Bucs faced the Texans in a slow churner that stifled offenses until the final 2 minutes. Baker Mayfield threaded 2 touchdown passes in the first half, helping Tampa carry a 14-10 lead into halftime. But then, for long stretches, both teams went cold. Special teams miscues, fumbles, a blocked punt, and even a missed field goal added to the tension. With about 80 yards to travel and mere seconds left, Baker led a final drive that culminated in a 2-yard touchdown run by Rashad White with 6 seconds remaining, giving Tampa Bay a 20-19 victory. It wasn't flashy throughout, but when the moment mattered most, the Buccaneers delivered. Week 3 versus New York Jets, a gritty finish. In Week 3, Tampa Bay hosted the Jets and found themselves in a back-and-forth battle. The Jets came roaring back late, including a huge special teams play when Will McDonald-Orford blocked a Buccaneers field goal and returned it 50 yards for a touchdown, giving New York the lead with under 2 minutes to go. But, as Tampa had shown twice already this season, they refused to fold. Chase McLaughlin drilled a 36-yard field goal as time expired to lift Tampa Bay to a 29-27 win. Mayfield and the offense had done enough earlier. Jamel Dean added a pick six. The Jets' Tyrod Taylor, filling in for an injured Justin Fields, answered with solid numbers, and Garrett Wilson made plays. But in the end, Tampa held on. 3 weeks in, 3 narrow but gritty wins. The Buccaneers are 3-0, and the swagger is real.